If you don't have a house, do you still have a home? Members of the houseless community say, home is where the heart is. Hello and welcome to Occupy TV. We'll discuss houselessness in Eugene and nationally. With 3.5 million unhoused people in the United States and 18.5 million vacancies, there are nearly 6 vacant dwellings for each unhoused person. We'll talk with Conrad Barney about camping bans in Eugene and his 60-day hunger strike to draw attention to the growing problem of houselessness. We will also visit with Michael Carrigan of CALC, the Community Alliance of Lane County. He'll discuss ongoing efforts to address the houseless issue locally. Join us for the next hour of interviews and short segments on the issue of those with no stable place to live.
It's just been great to have this camp because it also is bringing together the homeless community and the activist community here in one place. Come together, pushing for change, building community, working together. So this site will remain in my heart for years to come because this is where we've had the kind of grassroots organizing I've dreamed about for years.
Ain't it funny how all we want to do is be happy and eat and stay sheltered and warm, but they won't let us. Or at least within the dynamic that they create. It's the only way that it's going to be cool with them for some reason. So God bless America.
Occupy has brought the national issues of too much power in the hands of the upper 1%, too much power in the hands of the corporations. What they've been able to do is highlight that issue, but bring it home to Eugene by highlighting the struggle of the bottom 1%, the homeless, the unhoused, who've been living in the margins in our community for years and years and years. And Occupy Eugene has shed light on their struggle, shed light in their lives to an extent that I have seen in all the years of organizing work I've done here in this community. So I've been very excited by the coming together of the national and the local about people, working on issues, just making change in our community. I love when I see that happen.
This is a place where we've been able to come together and have conversations and build community and learn to know each other and love each other, even with all our flaws and faults. We need spaces like this all over this country, places where people can have the conversations that lead them to learn who they are and what they're good for and how they can work together with other people in the community to solve these problems.
It was the first time in a long time I've actually had my own space, even if it was a little crappy, square this big and a tent. A lot of people would say every morning when they wake up, they hate, I hate being here and I hate my life and all this and that, and I've just been thinking the whole time I've been here, thankfully that I was able to stay, live in a tent and have a little space. Right. It only was that big.
Awesome. This site here may be closed down, but Occupy Eugene is not going away. It's alive and well. It's going to be pushing for change in this community, and I'm very excited about being part of that in the future. Stay tuned.
Human rights for everyone, we shall not be moved. Human rights for everyone, we shall not be moved. Just like a tree standing by the water, we shall not be moved.
I can hear my spirit.
I can hear my spirit
Crying out for a little bit more justice.
We're here with Michael Carrigan of CALC, the Community Alliance of Lane County, to talk about the issue of houselessness in Eugene. The Occupy camp in Washington Jefferson Park really seemed to draw a lot of attention to the houseless issue. How did you get involved?
Well, CALC has been involved in economic justice issues for many, many years. We were actively involved in what's called the Homeless Action Coalition in the mid-90s that did a lot of work helping the unhoused in Lane County, but also involved in getting the warming center established. And so CALC has a long history in the issues, and so when the Occupy movement started, we just jumped right in because it highlighted the issues of injustice better than any movement has done in years and years and years. And so we quickly thought, boy, this is something we need to be involved in. So from day one, we were involved in that because of it's tough times in this country right now, so action needs to happen, and so Occupy was off and running. And we joined in. And what Calc was able to give is that means all that energy, enthusiasm, new folks involved. But we've been doing the organizing work for years and years in Lane County. So we're able to provide some of the contacts with both the public officials in the area, the other actors involved, and we also have a action center in the middle of the Whitaker neighborhood. So we've been, meetings have been there, so we just felt we could help this movement. We could help Occupy Eugene, and it's just been very gratifying to be involved in it. Some of the best organizing work I've ever seen has happened because of the Occupy movement in the past year and a half.
Why do you think that it's such a long battle to get the houseless a place to be? You were saying that a lot of the work Calc did started in the 90s, and so it's been such a long time and still ongoing. What is it about the issue that makes it difficult to get support for it or to get it solved?
You know, one thing, there's just a huge number of people who are unhoused, so the resources aren't there to take care of all the people who need help. And so that has gotten worse over the years. I mean, the cities and county are both facing huge cuts in their budget. So you have a problem that has been there. The resources to deal with it are less. And so it's just, and also the will to help the unhoused. People have this stereotype of them. They're the drunk, they're the one yelling and screaming, they're the person who's, trampling their garden. So people have the picture, that is the person. It's not the truth. Sure, there are a few of those problem people out there, but it's also people who recently lost their job, people have some mental illness challenges, so we have to overcome the stereotypes that society has, and that's made the work more difficult as well.
What's now happening with the houseless issue now that the Occupy camp itself is no longer around, but all the energy still there, all that work still there?
I think the energy is still there. Just you can't just see it all in one place. The advantage of the Occupy camp was there. All these people, you had the community there, you had the unhoused there. There was a focus on it. The kitchen was feeding hundreds of people each day, so the spotlight was there. But once the camp closed down, the work has continued, but we don't have aren't as aware of it. But we are still meeting every Monday morning at Calc at 10:15 a.m. The Houseless Solutions Support Committee is meeting. It's been meeting ever since the camp shut down. So people aren't aware of this. So we've been doing the work. So we're getting things done with one of the conclusions from the task force. There was a task force after the camp closed down. The mayor set up the Opportunity Eugene Task Force. And so one of the recommendations out of the task force was to set up a safe place to be.
Okay.
Nobody really defined what that was. So they're supposed to have a safe place to be. It was supposed to happen by October 1st of last fall.
Oh.
Didn't happen. However, we are going to be having a Opportunity Village Eugene, which will be a homeless village, is going to be probably starting sometime this summer. We have a location at 2nd and Garfield. Took months and months and months, and that work came out of Occupy Eugene. Then we formed the task force I mentioned. That was one of the conclusions coming out of the task force. But we just took so long to make it happen. And there's other recommendations from that task force. We've been discussing at these Monday morning meetings. Supposed to be a homeless commission set up. Hasn't happened. Supposed to be more daycare centers downtown, for folks to have lockers where they can leave their stuff. Has not happened. They're supposed to be, the city manager is supposed to be carefully reviewing the parts of the city code that criminalize being homeless. Hasn't happened. So there's a lot we discuss each week, but by having weekly meetings, by staying involved, we've been able to get the Opportunity Village Eugene established. I think that's a really important thing that's happening. But we keep also shedding light on the issues, such as the downtown exclusion zone, where people can be expelled from downtown without being convicted of a crime, and about over 60% of those are people who identify as unhoused.
Okay.
So that's an issue we've been involved in for months and months and months as well. So even though we didn't have the camp, people have just been doing the work. People like Ali Valkyrie really has been the key person highlighting how the downtown exclusion zone unfairly targets the unhoused. Gene Stacy, who's been formed a group called Sleeps. There's so much good work going on. And so Calc has been part of that, and I've been part of that. It's just been great work. But getting the public's attention is always a challenge. That's why having the Eugene Weekly doing what you do really helps out. But we need more, I think, more attention on the good work that's going on.
And you mentioned earlier the Egan Warming Center, so I guess that fills in a little bit while the city is dragging its feet, at least during the colder season. And Calc's involved with that as well. Could you tell a little bit about what the Egan Warming Centers do? Yeah,
Marion Malcolm, who was a community organizer with Calc for many, many years, has retired, but she was one of the key people who set up the Egan Warming Center a few years back. So what happens is St. Vincent de Paul, at First Christian Church and other location where the temperature I think gets below 30, will then set up a place for people to come and sleep that night. I think First Christian, they can do over 100 people, maybe 200. There's also locations in Springfield as well. I don't know all the locations. So that's kind of that's probably saved scores of lives of people, because in that cold weather, Major Egan, who the center is named after, he died in the streets on a very cold night. So that's why the center was named after him. So since the Egan Warming Center, I think less people have died on the streets, though unhoused people are still dying on the streets of Eugene. It hasn't stopped. It just has less, there are less deaths because of the Warming Center.
And then could you talk a little bit about some of the work that you mentioned, Gene Stacy and Sleeps? A little bit about some of the work that they've been doing as well?
So I think Sleeps is safe, legal, entitled emergency sleeping locations. And Jean's idea was, and others who she was working with the unhoused people, coming together and just did some great work, highlighting the problem of sleeping outside. I mean, people in Eugene, under our no camping ordinance, it's against the law to camp out, to sleep in the city. The idea being is that the city should not be doing that. Sleeping should not be a crime, and that's what's happened. So Sleep, you use direct action to get the attention of the city, to get the attention of the public to see that there's a human face to being unhoused, but also that people are willing to take direct action. One of the best actions that happened at Lane County, and the Free Speech Plaza, Sleeps, put some tents up there to help highlight the problem. And what happened, the county cracked down, claimed that people were peeing and pooping in the bushes there, and just made it sound like those terrible unhoused people, they're just doing it. And it just was not true. And so
there's played on the very prejudices.
Yes, that's the thing that I was talking before. Just you expect better from our elected officials, but it was very disappointing. But the idea was, instead of going, we're treated poorly, we're just going to take action. We organized a direct action there where people came, said we're not leaving. I think there were about 20 arrests that night of people challenging that, and that's what Sleeps was doing. Sleeps was people willing to go to spend the night in jail, willing to risk their freedom, to show people that we had to take on bureaucracy who's not dealing with the problem.
And actually, as an example, case in point, the other night on, I think it was April 5th, 8 people were arrested for camping under the Ferry Street Bridge. What does that say about sort of our progress on decriminalizing homelessness?
It's pretty much shows we've made no progress. The bureaucracy is just not changing their outlook. We keep saying at the council meetings, we usually have each time we have people testifying, asking them to make it legal to sleep in the streets of Eugene, or at least not arrest people for sleeping, or cite them for sleeping. And we think we've made progress. We've had some good support on the council, but we still don't have. The city bureaucracy is still arresting, or the police are still arresting people for sleeping. The Ferry Street Bridge, young people, mind you, they just were trying to sleep. So put in jail for that. And what really upset me too, not only were they arrested for trespass, after they were released, they were cited for violating the camping ordinance. So they got punished twice. And what's the benefit? People sleeping. So they just need to leave people alone. The Eugene Police Department and the city just are not getting it. And so Sleeps was, what the actions there were good, really highlighted the problem. It really kind of shed the light on what the problem is. So we've made progress. Greg Evans, the new city councilor from the Bethel area, is leading the effort. He has been great on the issue. At his first meeting, he's the one who pushed that we need to have a work session on the issue. And you know, that's brave for a new councilor to do that. So he is great. He really wants, he feels strongly we need to modify the camping ban. And I think we have the votes to do it. But we just got to keep putting in the pressure. We got to, you know, just tell people this needs to change.
And so tell me a little bit about Opportunity Village and how that will hopefully help address the issue.
Well, we're really excited about that. What's going to happen at the Second and Garfield site, people will be living probably in some of those Conestoga huts. People are aware of these. Are these really maybe about 10 square foot huts that have a door that can lock, has a window. It is a safe place for people to be.
And it looks kind of like I've seen pictures.
Yes.
It looks like a Conestoga wagon. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like one of those wagons. So we have one in the backyard of Calc right now, and they're attractive, and they're safe, and so we're going to have those at the Garfield site. But also, we might make some other structures like that as well. And the idea being, it's not just a place for people. Oh, great, got a hut. People are going to be working together, develop a eco community. We're hoping to be growing food there, and some other ways people can come together to make a living, whatever arts and crafts or different job things they can do. The idea is to have people come together and empower themselves. The problem is we have 30 structures that will be set up there. So probably about 50 people will be taken care of. Well, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, great. It's going to set an example, going to move things forward. What we want to have happen, we would like to have a village in every ward in the city. So we're hoping that it's going to be an example of how something can work, and we hope to move on from there, because 30 structures, about 50 people, it's not helping enough people.
And is some of the hope that when people see the Second and Garfield one working, that other areas of the city will be more open to it? Do you get that kind of response from people? Well, I don't want a homeless village in my neighborhood, and
not in my backyard feeling really is strong. We had actually one site we thought would be really good, would be a site on Chambers near Cesar Chavez School. There's a site there that would have been perfect, but it was near the school, and some of the parents in the school basically said, no way are we going to allow any homeless folks being camped near our school. We were not able to overcome the stereotypes we talked about before. Because at the Opportunity Village Eugene is going to have very strict rules. It's going to be no drugs, no alcohol, and people have to be on their best behavior to be part of it. We thought it'd be a shining example of how a community could develop, and having near a school. There are a lot of unhoused families at Cesar Chavez School. We thought it would have been a great location, but people were not into it. We had a community meeting, and boy, there was some people got worked up, and they were just upset. So we think the Garfield site, when people see that it can work, we see it's an asset to the neighborhood. We think we can move forward with other sites. At Calc, we were part of the car camping program. The people in our backyard have made our area safer.
Can you tell me a little bit about the car camping program?
That's where people, usually in their cars or their campers, are parked at different places through the city. We got that modified so tents could be part of it as well. We found out actually Calc was the only place now where there are tents. So we have a Conestoga now and a tent. So it's a program funded by the city through St. Vinny's. So at Calc we have a porta potty, and most places also have either trash and recycling. Calc, we take care of that. So these are set up at different places throughout the city. And as a consequence of the task force, the city allocated more money for it. So there've been more sites developed. The challenge is finding the sites, both for the car camping program, and now we have the Conestoga program. It's been very popular. We've raised a bunch of money for that, but we don't have places to put them. So we're still dealing with people's fears of, whoa, I'm not sure if I want to have one of those Hudson, in my yard, the churches are coming through, but Calca is the only non-church location now.
Are pets an issue? A lot of the unhoused people I know have pets, and that was an issue at first with Egan warming centers. They, I believe, made modifications to allow people to bring their pets. They were finding that folks were staying outside because they were afraid they couldn't bring their pets. So is that coming up at all with the Conestoga program?
Yes, the Opportunity Village will allow pets. We think that's it's the first. We're not going to be having kids at the Opportunity. This is the first one. It's simple to get the first one doing without kids, but we'll have pets. So we're really, because for a lot of the unhoused, they have pets and they have no place to go. They can't go to the mission. They can't. It's very challenging for them to find a place to go. So yes, pets will be allowed. And I know that pets are really important, both for people. Not only makes feel safer, but also it's their companion. It's important that they get to keep their pets. The mission is expanding. The mission has, which is great. They're going to have more beds for folks. But the mission being a religious institution, a lot of folks aren't comfortable going there. So we have the car camping program, which is great, and hopefully Opportunity Village will take care of more. But it's only, I don't know, the percentage is small, maybe 10, 20%. There's still all those people. Where are they going to go? That's why we want the camping ban to be modified. There's got to be other places for people to be, that safe place to be. We mentioned out in the BLM wetlands in West Eugene, that whole area, there's scores of people who are camping out of there. Councilor Evans has an idea. There's some city land out there. Why not establish some camps out there? Get the porta potties, get the trash bins as well. People are out there anyhow. Why not make it places that it's safe?
If people want to get involved, what's a number or a place that they can find you or find CALC or find a way to get involved?
They can just call Community Alliance of Lane County or CALC. The number is 541-485-1755. And we can connect people with Opportunity Village Eugene and other resources that they need. We're there to help folks.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've been talking with Michael Carrigan of the Community Alliance of Lane County about the issue of houselessness in Eugene and what to do about it. Thanks.
Thank you.
I had experienced injustices personally and seen injustices being done to others, and Sleeps had set up their protest at Free Speech Plaza, and it hit on those same issues that I had experienced personally, and it just felt right. It felt like it was time to take a stand and start making some changes in our community.
It's a real surprising thing when you hear those football rings. Better make it to the woods if you can.
It's just a statement. It's an action. It's a protest. It's for a right to sleep.
We were sleeping in a doorway on 3rd, right at the police substation, and around all the bars. I mean, we didn't get to sleep at night till 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning when the bars finally quit and everybody left. And we put up with getting things dumped on us, getting kicked, I got hit in the head with a cupcake while I was asleep. And I mean, this is what we went through every night.
And it's very difficult, and it's not a situation that you just say is an easy solve, because the further you're deteriorated, the harder it is to get out of whatever situation you happen to have fallen into. We're the ones that are going to make the change happen that needs to happen.
We believe in the power of people cooperating together and actually making something happen, because we all have our roles, we all have our skill sets, we all have a compassionate view towards our fellow human, and we just want to do what we can.
I'm here to stand in solidarity with people all over the world that are asking and demanding for a change to the systems that are corrupt.
The government is nothing without its people. And when all the people take a stand against economic injustice, that's when it will be our time in history to change the world into a better tomorrow for everyone. That's the amazing thing about this moment and this Occupy movement, because right now, standing here, I can't even imagine the limits of possibility. With the power of the people, we are the new generation to honor Martin Luther King by continuing his work toward economic justice for all.
Our forefathers might have messed everything up and made it where it's at today, but it's our generation that's going to put it right.
I've had staff at shelters say only reason people are here is because they're irresponsible and I consider myself to be trying to do good. You know, I spend a lot of time trying to be as good as I can. So I'm not going to a place where I'm dishonored like that.
We're here with Conrad Barney, who recently staged a 60-day hunger strike to call attention to the issue of houselessness in Eugene. Welcome, Conrad. So, first off, what led to the hunger strike?
A series of injustices, kind of my life on the street, being moved constantly, and yeah, basically taking a stand against those injustices that I came across. Can I ask what led to you being on the street? It's kind of circumstantial. A lot of things, a lot of reasons, you know, falling outs and whatnot. But you know, I think that the majority of reasons why people end up on the street is circumstantial, especially with the way the economy is. They're essentially economic refugees.
Mm-hmm. Could you lead me through sort of like one day and one night of what it is like to be unhoused in Eugene?
It's difficult. If you imagine you have your house on your back, you have a limited access to resources. What we have available is so compartmentalized that you have to travel fair amount of distance to do what you need to do day to day. So you would have laundry on one side of town, and you would have your meal on another, and various other services elsewhere. So when your only transportation is your feet, and your home is on your back, and you're working on little food, little sleep, in a very high stress environment, it's difficult.
And how and where do you sleep if you're houseless?
Wherever you can find that's out of sight, out of mind, because that's kind of what you have to resort to. Because if you're visible, you're going to be bothered. You're going to be told to go somewhere where you're not visible.
Are you generally able to sleep through the night, or is it pretty typical to get moved throughout the night?
It's pretty typical to be woken up and asked to move.
And is that's the experience that led then to the hunger strike?
Yeah.
And why a hunger strike in particular?
Well, I kind of had the feeling that it was a good way to raise awareness. And that was really my focus, was meeting shelter needs, because in Eugene, particularly, you know, we have a very compassionate group of citizens, and the food and the water aspect of unhoused issues is pretty abundant, and is taken care of because of that compassion. But shelter is really what's lacking. So that's the direction, and the focus of awareness is, for me personally, is shelter, and not just shelter, but economical and innovative solutions for it.
Mm-hmm. And when you were on the hunger strike, was it just water, or water and tea, or how did you?
No solid foods.
Mm-hmm.
I supplemented vitamins and stuff through like emergency and juices. I also supplemented with iron tinctures and things for potassium and calcium and protein.
Did you go into it knowing that you were going to do it with a set period of time, or did you go into it with the idea that once there was attention to the issue, or how did that work? I spoke to you sort of toward the end of the strike, and you were looking rather peaked.
Yeah, well, I went into it knowing that things take time.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had chose to do the strictly water, I wouldn't have lasted as long, and it really wouldn't have allowed for that window of opportunity to push it home to the city council and the greater community.
Did you feel that the city council paid attention? Do you feel like it had an effect?
Yeah, I think that they're perceptive. I think that even though it's not as timely as I would like, I think that we've had some small victories, and I think that we're moving in the right direction.
Throughout the interview, we've been using the word houseless instead of homeless, and I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about why that particular terminology, why houseless, not homeless.
Well, in the spirit of political correctness, to say homeless is kind of to say heartless in a sense. When you say home is where the heart is, so to be unhoused or houseless, you still have a heart. And I think that's very true, regardless of our social standings, every one of us has value.
I seem to remember that during your hunger strike, there was a letter in the Eugene Weekly from your mother, and she talked about sort of, I think, the stigma and the way you were being treated during your hunger strike and as a houseless person. What is your experience of that in Eugene, of that sort of, is there a stigma with being houseless, and how does that manifest?
There absolutely is a stigma, and I think that that's why it's important to make legislation changes, because right now the bans, the municipal codes, it's basically criminalizing being unhoused, and it condones and almost allows for bigotry in the way that it's written. So unless we start implementing compassion and understanding into our legislation, it's just going to continue.
I was speaking with Michael Carrigan. We talked a little bit about the downtown public safety zone. Have you had any experience with that, or been around people
the exclusion zone is what I would prefer to call it. I mean, just the idea of trespassing in public spaces is kind of a ridiculous thought. But I mean, I understand a safety zone, but at the same time, their justification for a lot of these camping bans is sanitation and cleanliness. And what they're doing is they're saying that unhoused people are the culprit of that, rather than saying, oh, okay, we need more trash cans and we need more bathrooms, or it's kind of skirting the issues and instead of taking it head on and trying to come up with solutions.
And it seems like also it's just sort of displacing the problem. If you ban people who are houseless from downtown, you're just moving them somewhere else, but you're not stopping the issue.
Right, you're sweeping people under the rug. Basically, you're ostracizing people that are already disenfranchised. So you're not going to solve anything from that approach.
You mentioned that there has been some improvements since you began your hunger strike and over time. What are some of the things that the city or the county has done that is helpful, that is maybe improving the situation for houseless folks?
There's plans of workshops. There's been support with Opportunity Village. There's been support with the Conestoga Huts. There's a lot of real positive momentum, and the greater community, I think, is latching onto that and kind of helping each other carry the torch. But it is an awareness phase. It's kind of a collective awakening process, if you will, for all issues, not just unhoused issues. I like to liken it to popping popcorn. Sounds strange, but when you're popping popcorn, you start out with few kind of sporadic pops, and then you know, you have this moment where it seems everything kind of starts to pop all at once, and then you have the late bloomers, you know. But you know, it's kind of it's a transformation. You know, we go from these enclosed, hard, dense kernels to something completely different. We come out of our shells, and it's kind of an intense process. But when it's all said and done, we'll look around and be like, oh, okay, it's kind of fluffy and comfortable, you know.
No, that's a great metaphor. I know Opportunity Village is planned to be dry, as far as I understand, no drugs, no alcohol. The idea is that it'll be sort of a model community. Does the community also need a place to go for folks that, not even necessarily alcoholic, but someone who drinks, or, you know, maybe wants to have a glass of wine, or someone who is an alcoholic and they, because of the disease, might not seek out shelter because they can't go?
Well, I think that it's important to move towards all-inclusiveness. You know, there's a wide variety of people's needs, and it's a difficult thing to try and fit everybody's needs, but you got to start somewhere. And you know, you mentioned model, and that's just it. So you know, we do have to set an example. We have to be like, okay, this is working, so that in the future, if you want to move towards all-inclusiveness, at least we have a working model that fits specific guidelines within that large spectrum of different directions to take, I guess.
What do you say to someone who, if Eugene starts putting up these opportunity villages, if there's more than one, that would then say something along the lines of, well, Eugene's just, if Eugene does it, then all the homeless people are going to come to Eugene and make this city worse. Like, what do you say to someone like that?
We're already here. You know, that's totally a fear-based, you know, kind of defeatist way of looking at it. I think that, you know, you provide the opportunity, you know, for the people that are there. You know, if it brings in more people, then you know, it does. But you know, I don't think that. I think that if anything, it should be inspiration for other communities and other cities to do it for themselves. Not, oh, go over to Eugene. You know, it's a utopia over there. No, you know, I don't foresee that.
How does having, you know, maybe one of these Conestoga huts or just a safe place to sleep undisturbed, how does that help someone to get off the street or to get to a place where they need to be?
It's a large portion of making it easier. You know, even if you had a place to store your things, you know, if you had a place to keep your things and not have to worry about that, you know, then you could focus on going and doing the interviews. Because if I was going to walk into an interview with my hiking gear and all of my pack and looking the way I do day to day, you know, we kind of we tend not to see past that. You know, it doesn't say anything for my work ethic. You know, but you know, we kind of tend to be superficial sometimes.
And you talked about doing things legislatively, and I actually looked this up at one point because I was curious. If you're in Lane County and you want to vote but you don't have an address, they tell you to register the corner nearest to which you most frequently sleep. Which my first thought was, well, if I'm sleeping on a corner, I don't necessarily want Lane County to know where I most frequently sleep. So what about that aspect of it? Someone who's houseless who wants to vote or to be politically involved, how is that affected by not having a place to be?
It's absolutely affected. I mean, I didn't even know about, you know, them telling suggesting to basically say the nearest corner from where you sleep. as far as I understand, I think most people just assume that they relinquish their right to vote when they're living on the streets.
What led you to actually to become political? I mean, this protest is very much a political protest, and one that did take the attention of the city council.
You know, I've always kind of had the activist spirit, I guess, and it's something that I was living. So when I experience injustices head on, then I'm going to face them head on.
Were you part of the original Occupy camps here in Eugene, or did you sort of come to Sleeps as one of the groups later?
Right, yeah, I was involved with Sleeps, Safe, Legally Entitled, emergency place to sleep. But yeah, I came in the tail end of the larger Occupy movement over Washington, Jefferson, and all of that. So I wasn't here for any of that.
You think some of the, in addition to your sort of longer term hunger strike, some of the direct action stuff with Sleeps, was that also helpful in getting the word out and getting the word out about your hunger strike?
Absolutely, yeah, I believe so. You know, we've taken kind of an artistic form of protest, and I think that it's been real effective.
Was that some of the chalk drawings?
Yeah, we did chalk drawings, and then we do guerrilla theater, and try and be as artistic as possible, because it draws attention enough to have people have an open ear and an open mind, I guess.
I think educate. I think it was the library about the right to express oneself artistically. I think there was chalk drawings, and the library came out. Were you part of that? The library came out to wash off the chalk drawings, and the police actually had to explain to the library that was protected First Amendment expression.
I was probably involved in the chalking, but yeah, I think I recall something about that. Yeah.
Sort of getting back to your hunger strike, you were saying that actually people tend to be fed fairly well in Eugene. I imagine that's not true elsewhere. Could you talk a little bit about that, not having access to solid food, and I imagine at the same time not having a safe place to sleep, and what that does to you mentally?
Yeah, I mean, well, lack of food, lack of sleep, high stress. You're exerting energy that you don't have. It's kind of a culmination of really detrimental things to your health, and it's sad. You can see the progress and the toll that it takes in people. It takes only a week sometimes. To go from healthy to just run into the ground.
It's almost the opposite of that sort of the stereotype people have. Well, they'll talk about this lazy homeless person, or this person who is holding a sign rather than working, where it sounds like it's the complete opposite, that you're sort of working nonstop to stay alive.
Yeah, and if people could realize that, rather than pointing the finger and saying, well, it's your fault because you failed the system, we should come together and say, well, hey, the system is failing these people. Let's do something about it.
And what do you think, as we draw to a close, is the strongest thing the average person in Eugene could do to change the system in terms of houselessness?
Collaboration, research, hold people that claim certain resources accountable. Ask questions, speak with your city council. There's a long laundry list of things that can be done, but really it's coming together as a community and creating these platforms that we can work off of, so that we can, all bring something to the table. We just have to create the table first.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us.
Thanks for having me.
This has been Conrad Barney, who came in to talk about his 60-day hunger strike to draw attention to the issue of houselessness in Eugene.
Can't hold back the fire. ease our anger and the tears gonna ease our pain. You can talk about law and order, but the people gonna rise again. Cause where there ain't no justice, there ain't no peace.
George Wardlaw in Los Angeles of the Ninth Circuit Court ruled that no one could prohibit unhoused people who had no shelter to go to from sleeping between the hours of 9 p.m. and 8 a.m. He said you cannot criminalize the necessary, unavoidable consequences of being human and unhoused.
The weather is changing. It's raining. It's storming. We need to do something now.
It's cold. It's cold.
With sleeps, the conversation has added another way forward to help the unhoused. A request to lift or modify the camping ban temporarily to allow people who are already sleeping in public places the right to be allowed to remain until morning. This is a compassionate action our city council could take now in negotiation with sleeps activists and supporters to reduce the suffering of the unhoused in our community.
Sleeps, right now, today, is providing houseless folks with a very basic human need, which is shelter, which is constitutionally protected.
There are only two reasons, or really one big one, that you can shut down a protest. It has to be something that is so compelling that you're actually willing to deny people their First Amendment rights. And generally, it's either a public safety hazard or that you're interfering with business. Clearly, we are neither.
From a police perspective, I definitely feel like it was a success. You know, we had those open lines of communication. We didn't have to have officers come down here. They could be out in other parts of the city doing police services.
The chief administrator for Lane County chose to release to the Register Guard untruths about this protest.
Until they lift the camping bans, we shall not be moved just like a tree. Standing by the water, we shall not be moved. Freedom and liberty, we shall not be moved just like a tree. Standing by the water, we shall not be moved.
Actually, I'll take it. I'm here to take it.
Oh, thank you. And you are?
Leanne Richardson.
Oh, hi.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So we'd like to just have you read it while we're here.
No, I'll read it later, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Leanne Richardson met us outside her office and accepted the letter. Did not want to read it right now, but said that she would read it. This letter is dated December 17th, 2012, and it is addressed to Leanne Richardson, County Administrator, Lane County. Your decision to close one of Eugene's two historic public forums for protest, the Wayne Morse Plaza, Free Speech Plaza, on false allegations is a cause for concern to all citizens. On closing the plaza, quote, temporarily and indefinitely, end quote, Tuesday at 11 p.m., you stated falsely that Sleep's members had damaged the building and created a biohazard. County employees, television and print media, and time and date stamped photos from Sleep's have documented that your comments are erroneous and leave the county open to libel suits. Your closing of the plaza further exposes the county to First Amendment suits. Because First Amendment rights are so critical to a democracy, the courts have held that protest sites cannot be shut down unless there is a quote-unquote compelling reason to do so. We believe that your comments were inflammatory and that the closing of the plaza was a direct violation of the constitutional rights of Eugene citizens. We are hoping to have a response from her as soon as possible. Fortunately, the plaza has been reopened today, and we will now go exercise our free speech rights.
Each of us holding a flickering candle.
Each of us holding a flickering candle.
Seemingly insignificant one by one.
Seemingly insignificant one by one.
Yet magnificent held together.
Yes, magnificent when held together.
Welcome to the Sleeps Candlelight Vigil. Bishop Desmond Tutu said, "My humanity is bound up in yours, for we can only be human together. Exclusion is never the way forward on our shared paths to freedom and justice."
We are gentle and free people, and we are singing, singing for our love.
We are housed and unhoused together.
We are housed and unhoused together, and we are singing, singing.
The homeless community here in Eugene is very large, and I think that the citizens of Eugene should be concerned.
Ain't no power like the power of the people. The power of the people don't stop. Ain't no power like the power of the people. The power of the people don't stop.
This camping ban was passed in July of 1983. And this camping ban was passed as a result of a city commission called the Vagrancy Task Force to handle all the, quote, vagrancy issues that we had in 1983, of course not realizing that vagrancy by today's words is kind of pejorative. However, amongst the Vagrancy Task Force recommendations, which included the camping laws that we are fighting today, also included public and private campgrounds to be installed throughout the city of Eugene. So it was the intent of the City Council in 1983, and it was the intent of the task force that put forth the vagrancy report, that because we were making camping on public property illegal, we were supposed to compensate by opening public and private campgrounds all over the city of Eugene. 30 years later, that has not happened. And 30 years later, we are still in the same situation we were in 1983, where people are sleeping all over the streets. However, when these laws were passed in 1983, the numbers they had of the people who were sleeping on the streets was 200 to 300. Last night's Lane County one-night homeless count number released, which I will say is probably a dramatic undercount, but still puts forth about 1,800 people. So not only have we never provided public and private campgrounds, but the number has increased at least 5-fold since this ordinance was passed 30 years ago. And I think today is the day that we need to change it. And I really hope that the City Council decides to put their money where their mouth is, decides to act based on the principles that they so espouse, decides to hold up the principles of Eugene as a human rights city, and decides to act with the courage of their convictions. Let's hope it happens.